So now we're at I would show you guys what was happening at the slough because now there's actual rain and the slough has had so much work done. But the thing is, they've now had to cut off the sidewalk because of how serious probably bringing down the rest of those walls were. Pardon me. All right. Sorry, nice and early. I'm making all my old man noises. Got my coffee. Got to do my banking. So at this stage, the Democrats really are now looking at something that there's a number of things that came up. MSNBC dads. So there's a lot of, this is a very, very serious Democratic Party thing. The MSNBC men. So these are these older, overweight guys who they fundamentally they are perpetually living like most Democrats and liberals in a world that they are a bookish, nice person trying to just enjoy their life, and jocks are always coming along and harshing them. And then beyond that, the jocks are now all these pickup driving racists or something that are constantly yip-yawing and hoo-hooing and stuff, hollering and stuff, and at their beer blasts like that. That's one I remember from the Breakfast Club. Oh yeah, Sporto at your beer blast or something. It was one of the dumbest things one of the dumbest lines in the movie. But it's funny because of this idea that the guy who's obviously done up as a punk rocker, who smokes cigarettes and smokes weed, but the jock drinks a lot on the weekend, or something like that. And then the whole idea of how he does something that he actually shows deep contrition for, that he picked on somebody, and that his father was like, how do you think it's going to be when he tells his dad what happened to him? And this whole idea of the sense of shame of something like that. And people could be like, well, that's the point. And it's yeah, but I don't think you're getting that this was obviously written because that type of character exists. That's the way, that's the issue with sportsmen. It's an issue of honor. And that's honor culture. And honor culture is different than subculture. And so it was it's this perpetual thing of these people who've embraced mostly thespian world simulacrum culture and subculture from popular culture versus the jocks forever. That's the way they see the world. That the jocks are going to take all their rights, and stuff. So so I was thinking about this with MSNBC bros, because that it's almost a channel full of wimps. Talking to wimps. When you look at the way that they address, it really, after a while, I started to sit there and be like, yes, this is almost the quintessential low-T wimp channel now. And their entire way of approaching the news is, okay, fellow wimps, here's the threat to democracy today. So I was reading an article about some guy who it's him and his father. His father just won't have anything to do with them because of their political disagreements, and their father is this Democrat holder honor, And so finally I started to really realize a number of things have happened. So now there's almost none of these old Antifa people from all the riots that have come out of this totally unscathed. In a lot of their people have now gone up for lots of other crimes that they've committed because they're criminal people. They're honorless, part of a manufactured subculture that they just borrowed. And so now they're facing the issue of people, there is no supporters for them anymore in any way. There's no young part of the culture. There's not really some part of some kind of student culture oh yeah. And then there's all the student culture that's dying in a way. Leftist student culture is now becoming increasingly confined to people who they're going to start becoming more and more obviously that leftist chick, that weird gay hippie guy, one of the many men who puts on a dress all the time. These various people that nobody really can think is cool. There was never really a time that BLM and Antifa were necessarily like cool. They actually were kind of, in fact, like kind of shockingly not. Like they really were not very hip. They weren't a part of a real subcultural movement within the youth. It was derivative of a derivative of a leftover from another era of time. And so now there's not really much left to it. There's no, it doesn't have anything behind it anymore. And the Democrats have to separate themselves from it all the time, because they have proven they believe in political violence. They believe that how to accomplish your political goals is by having a proxy group of street hooligans that will actually commit crime. And they do. And they did. And most of their goals were similar to the Democratic Party, and so that there's no separating them. It's just that Democrats now, that because they're like, oh, we behaved without honor, recruited an army of angry wimps to show up and beat up normal people. So they have no way back from that. So now it's detached. Not even hearing people talk about BLM anymore. And another part of that is the part that everybody, it's like how World Star decided 2016. Well, everybody knows nobody's claiming BLM now because they ripped everybody off. Where's the money? That's all. That's all that matters. That's it. Nothing else matters. Where'd the money go? So I'm kind of enjoying now that the Democrats are solidly kind of just this party of wimpy white phonies, and people who are like come-up artists who want to like figure out a way of talking people into, you should give me money because I have negative emotional states. Then the Democrats have this issue. We don't have any accounting of all the children who came across, and the Democrats went out of their way to make sure that there was no accounting of this, with lots of nonprofit corporations and churches, most importantly, churches involved. Now, this is the part that I'm like, no, if Republicans go soft on prosecuting these churches, there was no point. There was no point. A lot of these religious organizations are going to have to pay. These people are going to have to go to prison for trafficking minors, whether they're a preacher or a pope. I don't care. We don't know where the kids are. We have no data on them, and that's it. And so that's the Democrats' fault. And yeah, drag them for it forever. Why do they want people for armies of violent foreign men and children? Like that's all I mean, at some point, like putting it in such frank terms, that's how it's got to be said. They have some fixation on having on military-aged men come in and making sure that there's plenty of children. And so now it's, well, either they're doing it because they plan to just replace populations here with other people's children, and there can be no, oh, but they're children and they're children with the child and childrenness, and no, they're going back. We're finding out whose kids these are. We're sending them back. They're going home. They have to. Black people need to absolutely, like that one black lady said, they're going home. Send them back. That's it. Nothing else. If politicians say anything else, you go, your job is done. You should just resign. We're going to vote you out. And from this point on, we're going to be dragging your name through the mud. That's what works with them. You have to humiliate people. You have to humiliate them. You have to just I mean, look at what happened with the cats and ducks. Cats and ducks, and these people lost their shit. Why? Because it was humiliating. It was humiliating to them that they not only got caught doing this, bringing in what was a third of the population of a city and just dumping them there. And now it's this issue of, and as soon as you point out, oh yeah, no, they're definitely committing this type of crime. And it's the same to the point that now there's even a joke about how the Democrats have biffed this. No, it's not happening. You guys are making it up. Oh, here's somebody reporting it directly. Oh, and look, here's a photo of a guy doing it. Oh, here's all these people who live in the area. Now everyone gets it. They're like, no, I'm on the internet. I live in this place. This is definitely happening. Just like how people, oh, Antifa is just an idea. And it's like all over the Northwest. You'd see people with ACAB tattooed on them. They were wearing, like, art girls would put together ACAB jewelry. I mean, it got tagged all over the place up here. And especially a place like Eugene, Oregon, it's like all the time. Since I've lived here, women who live here always talk about being menaced by what's obviously a lunatic crackhead. Like that this person's just menacing their house. This person's just menacing them while they go to their car. Things like that. So in a city where that's like this constant complaint from always my female coworkers, and then this basehead was bothering me, blah, 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 hangs out outside my house, basehead on my porch, things like that. Oh, but what we don't need are police. You know, she's not karate fighting some crackhead who's on her porch. She needs the cops to do that. That's the way that works. But, you know, it's this simulacrum world of us musical kids versus the jocks. And I think I hear actually a maniac screaming off in the distance. And you see, and then there's that, and you guys have noticed this in a lot of my videos where I have to bring up, oh, I think there's a maniac down this alleyway, or I think, what's that sound? As like mega crack bro, mega basshead is freaking out. Okay, now something that's kind of nice, I saw that they had done some recent new artwork, and I wanted to show you guys because I missed it last time I walked through downtown. So there we go. Look at that. Now I'm not really sure who's dissonant, but this is what I wanted you guys to see. That is, once again, it's this guy Bane. I'm not sure, VH 1984, I don't know, I don't know the reference. But yeah, it's this character, this person Bane. Wow, that's really well done. That's very, very well done. And I don't know if I showed you guys this side of it. This has remained pretty much like this. Nobody's dissed it, nobody's done anything to it. It's been for months, like it's been up for months. But yeah, thought I would just show you guys that because, you know, you've seen me show you guys, but gotta bring some brightness. A few white pills now and then, you know. And so, Yeah, so we have the kids that we don't know where they are, who they are, and that one guy talking about no mouth swabs, no photographs, no ocular biometrics, no hair samples, no nothing. So when and now what's interesting is then opposing making people identify themselves as citizens when they want to vote. So they're not identifying the children. They're denying that the criminals even exist. And now there's this thing of, no, you should have you shouldn't punish. You shouldn't come up with a way of punishing people for fraudulently voting in elections. You shouldn't come up with a way of making sure they can't, because to Democrats, the elections aren't that important. Things done right, things done morally, things done ethically, assuring the safety of women and children, assuring that there's not massive fraud. This doesn't concern them, and that's really something that, to kind of like, that doesn't concern them. In fact, it not only doesn't really concern them, it seems that is what they kind of would like. They would like that more. They want more of that. It's a very, very interesting strategy, Cotton. Fascinating strategy. Let's see how it goes. Okay, well, here's another building. This building is once again emptying of some tenant. And this isn't a small, deal. This is like a big deal kind of construction on this corner. And it's been there a very long time. I think it was a bank or a financial institution, because it's kind of at a corner where there's such things. But, I guess we'll see if they get a new tenant. I'm kind of worried. Yeah. Don't like that. And here's why. There is no kind of factory that there's not something really happening here that you could have so many layoffs across the country in the professional fields. And then I had to sit back and I'm like, okay, so if a lot of various financial professions, things like that, if there's coding, all the, there's basically a loss of the economy shrinks even more, which has to happen because the number of people who are retiring from the workforce versus the number of people going into the workforce in our country. So it has to shrink a bit just by that pressure on it. And so I was starting to think about, so what's left then? What does Eugene, Oregon, and Oregon in general, what is it making that we could say, okay, well, the good thing is we have this industry that, it's a no fear, no fail industry, and there isn't one. And more the Democrats are starting to make it very clear that they really do like regulation, because through regulation they can make their enclaves win and smaller places and rural places not win. But now, because of the COVID restrictions, and because too many of such people who believed in that were mentally unstable people who didn't understand that they were being bamboozled by the CDC and the World Health Organization. Now I think we're running on a lot of credit. That's the feeling I'm getting. And then the issue that Democratic enclaves have always had, this very small number of very rich people who pretty much own the town. And Democrats don't like discussing that that's how it works for them. They really do think that there should be a person who decides how everybody else kind of behaves. Oh, and then this was the other thing I wanted to show you guys. We had a good solid rain, and there you can see it. You could see the kind of leaf debris, but look at that. Where'd it go? It all came into here and spread out in here. So this really has worked very well. This set of design has done a very, very good thing, and so I'm very impressed by that piece of engineering. I wish I could show you guys this other smaller version that they did. That was really cool, but oh well. So yeah, just some thoughts I had this morning. Talk to you guys a little bit.